Bare Bones Tarot. I did this in 2020, my last book. I'm working on another one now, but my latest book, I should say. It's a big book, 450, I think. Yeah, over 450 pages. I couldn't tell you how many illustrations are in here. What I use in here, I used the Tarot of Marseille. But the way I teach, you're not a card reader because of a specific deck. If you know how to read cards the way I teach, or the way I read talk in all my books, it doesn't make any difference what deck you're using. You could use a Marseille deck, you could use a Rider-Waite deck, you could use a Morgan Greer deck. It doesn't make any difference. It's just tarot cards, 78 cards. But this was when I came out with my own deck, my own Tarot Marseille. It's a Creative Commons deck, which means you can use it in your work too, royalty free. My gift to the tarot community, and I drew all these pictures. And it's an updated palette. It's a nice looking deck. And if you want to consider the Marseille, I would suggest getting mine. Anyway, so I use the Marseille deck in Bare Bones. And we're going to go over this book here. There's a lot of things in here that are unique too, especially the chapter on positional influence, how a card's meaning shifts as it moves from one position to another. It might be an asset you have. It might be an asset you need to develop. Things like that can happen. So I take the cards and I put them through each one of the 10 categories of the Celtic cross and show you how the position changes the meaning of the card. That's in here. And again, this will work with any tarot deck you want to use. It doesn't have to be the Marseille. So let's take a look at this deck. Let's take a look at this book. Bare Bones Tarot, an in-depth study to key elements of the tarot. Five chapters, but they're big chapters. A tilted look at the tarot. This is just my twist on the tarot and how it's changed since I first got involved with the tarot. That was in 1969. So I've seen a lot of changes over the past 50-some years. Again, winds have changed, first chapter. I talk about more in-depth changes I've seen since the last 50 years and how things have changed. Chapter 2, revealing the mystery. Why the tarot works is what I'm going into here. Card meanings and maps. How the card meanings are used in this chapter, I go over here. This is the major arcana. Now, what I did here, this map you're seeing around the card, these are the same maps that are on Essential Tarot. So these random words surrounding the card are the same. They're just very valuable keywords. There's over, 1,500 words here. I'm not too sure how many words there was in there. So I have the same type of setup. At a glance over here, keywords, keyword meaning underneath the title, magician, awareness. Another keyword under the title over here, magician. These are again done in 2-page spreads, left and right hand page, one card. Direct meaning, today's meaning about the card down here, meaning of the card. Then what I did down here, this is something you won't see anywhere else either. I show the meaning of the 1980s, meanings from the past, 1980s. This is what the card was defined as in the 80s compared to what it's defined as now. Then I show the meanings from the 1960s, how it's changed from the 80s to now too. This shows you that a card's meaning isn't etched in stone. They do change. And some of these definitions are going to make you laugh. Some of them are going to make you wonder. They're surprising. Every card has the same thing. Keywords over here floating around each card, 20 of them. Keyword underneath the title over here, keyword on the title over here, at a glance. The meanings from the 80s, meanings from the 60s. Consistently all the same. And this book will work with any tarot deck out there. I like the Marseille deck. I use it professionally, actually, more than I use any other deck. Sometimes I throw in a weight deck or some other deck. But I learned on the Marseille deck. I teach usually with the Rider Waite, but once you know tarot cards, you could use any of them. Any of them will work. Any deck will work. So you can see these are all 2-page spreads, easy to read, consistent. I have the Fool at the end because sometimes it's numbered 22 instead of 0. So we have 21, the World card, 22, the Fool over here. Then we have the 56 minor. I go into what the minors are about, how to use them. The suits. Now, I did the same thing with the values of what these cards are about. Here we're starting out with the cups. Talk about the minors. The 5 elements that these are used they're being used: being, trusting, yearning, seeing, and seeking, and prizing are these headings on all these cards, on all these suits. Then we start with the suit of cups. Cups value: being enthusiastic, trusting intuition, yearning for romance, seeking identity, prizing recognition. And then they have the other suits underneath them here, but because we're going into cups, I have that on top, and I have it a little larger. Suit of cups. Again, at a glance, keywords underneath the titles, meaning of the 80s, meaning of the 60s, keywords around it, in each card. The same stuff. It was written before the cups. With the cups, this is the same for each suit. It's all common. It goes common with each. I put the same thing in there in case you're just looking at one specific suit. Then I talk about the suit itself, the suit of pentacles. Suit of pentacles, the physical world. Pentacles value: being concerned, trusting authority, yearning for belonging, seeking security, prizing gratitude. And the other suits are down below it. Meanings: 80s, 60s, at a glance. And there they are. Same thing, common here. Suit of swords. Suit of swords, the mind. Swords value: being calm, trusting reason, yearning for achievement, seeking knowledge, and prizing deference. At a glance, meaning from the 80s, the 60s, this, and it goes on. Same way with the last suit, wands. Wands value: being excited, trusting impulse, yearning for impact, seeking stimulation, prizing generosity. Everything's set up the same way. These are very useful keywords for these cards. Card spreader anatomy and instruction. Why I've said anatomy, because now we're seeing breaking out how it works or why it works. This is an old term for the Celtic cross, the ancient Celtic method. Eden Gray used that term in the Complete Guide to the Tarot. This is her layout. These are the positions for a traditional Celtic cross, which I do not use, but you can use these. And here let's take a deeper look into these positions. The ancient Celtic method. Position 1, this covers him. This is about that. Position 2, this crosses him. Position 3, beneath him, behind him. Position 4. Position 5, this crowns him. Before him, we talk about what those positions mean. 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we have Pitisci's Celtic cross. This is how I lay it out, how it works, and how I read it. Positions 1 and 2 are look at the question itself. I go into that here. Positions 3, Current actions the client's taking, go into that. Immediate objectives, go into that. An asset of the client, 5, that. An opportunity to come, position 6. Client's perception of the question itself, position 7. Position 8, the timing. The purpose of this whole quest, position 9. Finer details and closing thoughts, position 10. And here I have a sample reading. Sample reading, Vince Pitisci's Celtic Cross. Cards that were drawn were shown here. 2 cards in the center, position 1 and 2. A look at the question itself. These 2 cards are combined, and it says what they're saying here. Here we have are combined for meaning to the question. An issue that needs to be stable in order to prosper. Structure is key for growth on this question. Solid planning is needed for success to flourish. How can we plan this issue in a better way? 4 of Pentacles, Queen, and the Empress. Current priorities of the client, position 3. Read about it. Here's what I define with that, the Ace of Cups. Immediate objectives, position 4. The Knight of Swords. Position 5, client's assets. 8 of Swords. An opportunity to come, position 6. The Hangman, red, defined. Underneath each one of these cards, you see I put a key word here that I think is what the card stands for. Reversal, I put here for the Hangman, as it fit into this reading. Client's viewpoint of this scenario, position 7, promising rewards. 9 wands. I go into that, I talk about that here. When and how to act on this issue, position 8, defined. What are you ultimately trying to accomplish? The position 9, the purpose. This is position 8, the timing. Chariot card. Finer details and closing thoughts, position 10. Summary of the reading right here. All the cards in place. Classic 3-card spread, past, present, and future. Another spread. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities. I talk about that in Genius of the Tarot too. Wrapping it up. Positive, negative, and closure. The 4-point spread. What, why, how, and when. What is the real question? Why do you want this in your life? How are we going to achieve it? And when do we act? The 6 points. What, why, how, and when. Who and where. I don't usually use who and where, but if you wanted to put that in there, you could throw it in there. 6 points. Horseshoe spread. Key factors for adjusting and creating card spreads right here. And here's positional influence. Card positions influence what we see in the cards. This is for a Celtic cross. Here we have the aces. Any one of the aces. I combine the minor arcana together. I don't use the suits. So there's only 14 meanings really for the minor arcana. Ace through 10 and the 4 court cards. If any of the aces come up in the center, this is what I'm seeing it as. The real question. But I see this, positions 1 and 2 work together. So it's position 2, the real question continued. Again, and it's the same thing. So right here, I just wrote this position is meant to complement position 1, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I wrote there. Position 3 here, the aces, still. And we're looking at position 3, actions being taken. Here's what it would mean. Position 4, the aces, possible interpretation would be, these are all possible interpretations. Establishing a new agreement. Position 5, if the ace was placed there, an asset to the client, this is what would be, how it would be interpreted. Position 6, an opportunity still to come. This is how an ace would be interpreted there. Position 7, client's viewpoint. This is how an ace would be interpreted there. Position 8, when to take action. This is how an ace would be positioned there. Same with 9, the real purpose. Closing remarks and finer details. And 10, how it would be positioned there. That's how the aces are done. Now we go into the 2s. The same exact thing. These are all two card spreads here, left and right page. The 2s. Positions 1 and 2, laid out just like the aces were. Position 3, possible interpretation for the 2s, possible interpretation for 4s, possible interpretation 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3s, same way. 3s, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All interpreted differently for each position. fours, fours, fives, sixes. And so each one of these is done the same exact way, going over each position. And you see how the cards shift meaning depending on what position they're placed into. Queens, kings, and then the 22 majors. Talk about the majors, the fool, same way. 3, possible interpretation. 4, possible interpretation. 5, 6, magician, same thing. 3, 4, 5, 6, magician. 7, 8, 9, 10, magician. High priestess, same way. Empress, same way. Positional influence. The card's meaning does shift its interpretation depending on where it's placed in the positions of the card spread. Because you're asking a different question in each position of that card spread. Or each position is a different aspect of the same question, I should say. And that shifts the meaning in certain ways. So positional influence, I thought, would be a very good thing to have in a book. And I've never seen it anywhere else before. And that's it. In closing, I put this on the back inside of the book in case you're looking through the book and you want to know a specific card's meaning. You just go right to the back of the book and you got this, and you got these lists right here at a glance, quick reference, keyword meanings. So bare bones tarot, using my deck, Tarot Marseille by Pitisci. Will work with any deck you want to decide to use. Thanks for watching.